let's talk to Michael, pronouns he, him, who wants to present his case for God. Michael, you're on the line with Forrest and Darante. Please don't defend slavery.
Right, please.
Yeah.
I'm sweating, man. Don't do it.
Yeah. No, not here for that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's
off to a great start.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of like a case for deism, really. It just kind of starts with simple awareness at the bottom level, just kind of perfectly concealed at like a zero stage of lucidity. And so my theory basically is that as we get emerging complexity, we just get systems of emerging complexity, which then give rise to processes, which drive their own emerging complexities within those processes, which lead to this kind of internal feedback, which will eventually lead to a point of contact, leading to a kind of point of exposure, leading to the earliest stages of lucidity. I think maybe that gave rise to the earliest stages of life, which I believe is its own process of emergent complexities. It just continues to evolve through the process of evolution. So eventually we get like a complex system of processes of senses, which kind of open up space within those processes out of internal feedback, contact, and exposure, giving rise to a new degree of lucidity, kind of creating this occupation with its own vantage point. And so now we have animals who can be aware of what's sensed through the senses, right? The sense that they sense through the senses. This is what leads to perception, the early stages of perception. And as we get more complexity, we get more internal feedback, more points of contact, more exposure, gives rise to a higher degree of lucidity, opens up a new occupation within the processes of the brain, which comes pre-assigned with its own new vantage point, which gives us access to a new plane of new landscape of truth where we can expose ourselves to new higher truths, right? Like animals. Once lucidity arise within perception, right? That's when we gain access to spatiality, temporality. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of fun. I'm a bit nervous if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. I don't understand what you just said. I feel like Jordan Peterson just tried to teach me evolution.
I had the same thought, literally.
Yeah.
Same thought.
Michael, I appreciate that you're nervous, and I don't want to, I want to hear you out, but like that was such word salad for me. Can you break it down so my dumb brain can understand? Like, what's the central concept here that you're trying to get across?
Right. I don't think awareness emerges from complexity so much as systems on complexity kind of create space within those processes that it can arrive into. Maybe
hold on,
just
stop. Let's just go to the first thing you said. You don't think that awareness arises from complexity. That's the first thing you said. What the fuck does that mean?
Well, I don't think the structures in the brain create complexity so much as it gives kind of opening.
The structures in the brain are complex. They don't create complexity. They do create awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So are we on the same page that like our brain is a physical thing? It is very complex. It is where our consciousness comes from. Do we agree on that?
Kind of. I believe that consciousness actually pre-exists the brain, but the brain allows for a place where it can expose itself to itself. Like that awareness is already there.
Okay.
Awareness
so we're taking an idealism versus materialism stance, and you're saying that consciousness exists separate as its own thing, and the brain is somewhat of a conduit or an antenna through which that consciousness is filtered and refined into the experience that we have of the world around us. Is that a fair representation of what you're saying?
Pretty close.
Okay. Can you give me one example of a consciousness existing outside of matter?
Not in a manner where it would be aware. If anything, it would just be completely unconscious.
Well, okay, so a conscious that is holy fuck, a consciousness that is unconscious. You're saying that an unconscious consciousness can exist independent of matter.
I believe that unconsciousness just exists, and what processes do allow for lucidity within that just kind of allows for exposure of what's already there. Like it's just kind of a substrate that's just there, but it has means or method.
Are you using the term unconsciousness to mean a material that could be conscious but is not? Or are you saying it is just the state of not being conscious, period? In which case, literally everything that is not conscious, even this eraser right here, is unconscious instead of not conscious. It is unconscious. Is that the way you're using that word? Or are you saying that the eraser must first have the ability to be conscious and at this moment is failing to do that and therefore is unconscious? Which way are you using that word?
I'm using it more like I don't know if I fully understand your question.
You said, I asked you, can you give me one example of consciousness existing independent of matter? And you said, yes, but it would be in an unconscious state. So I asked a follow-up question. Can you give me an example of unconscious consciousness outside of matter? And you said some words that involved the word unconsciousness being some sort of a substrate, as if it was like this plane, this field from which consciousness can then be built on top of. And I'm trying to understand what you mean by that. This marker, as far as I know, does not have a consciousness. It has no brain. It has no think. There's no thought process. There's no intentionality, no agency, no personhood, nothing available to this marker. Therefore, I would say this marker is not conscious. And that is different than saying that it is unconscious, because unconscious means that it was conscious or could be conscious, but is currently failing to do that. If I get hit in the head really hard, I would be unconscious. I am conscious. I could be conscious. I have the equipment to be conscious, but I'm currently failing to be conscious. Is that how you are also using the word unconscious? Or are you saying that everything that is not currently exhibiting consciousness, whether it could or not exhibit conscious, is currently unconscious because the term unconsciousness dictates a substrate of reality upon which consciousness could be built? How are you using that word?
Neither.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's not about all those items. Yeah, sorry, you were completely backwards on all that, my guy.
Okay, so tell me what you actually mean, because clearly I'm not understanding what the hell you're talking about when you say that something conscious can exist. No, pardon, not something conscious. You said that consciousness can exist in an unconscious state, external of all matter. So start back there, because that's apparently where I got lost. What do you mean by that?
Mm-hmm. Well, so I guess the best way I can describe it is imagine a room where it's just, there's only light, but there's nothing to reflect off that light. It would just look dark. And so you need to set up mirrors and reflectors to actually capture the light in a way where the light can be exposed. So it's not about you're pointing at all these items like, does this eraser pass the consciousness?
Hold the fuck on. Stop. I have a room made of dark matter. The room is made of matter. The room is a thing that exists.
Hold on a second, my guy. You guys don't have to be rude.
No, I'm not being rude. I'm trying to understand what the fuck you're saying. I'm asking you deliberate questions, and you're just going off on these tangents saying a bunch of shit that I'm not following because I don't understand the way you're using these words is a totally different way than I've used them for my entire life. So I'm just trying to understand.
I'm sorry you're getting so frustrated that you can't keep up, but don't take your agitation out on me because you can't.
Michael,
that's not my problem.
Wow. It's not about anybody keeping up. It's you being poor at explaining what you're saying. I'm not frustrated. I'm trying to understand, and you're going off on a tangent. So I'm being very passionate
my guy.
about what I'm saying.
I can sense the energy.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Okay, with what organ do you sense energy? I'm speaking to you the way that I would be speaking to a professor that was giving me a new concept that didn't make any sense. I'm very serious about learning, and I'm very serious about understanding what someone's talking about so I don't miss your argument. I am doing you the courtesy of repeating back what I'm hearing and allowing you to correct what I'm saying so that we can have this conversation in the most effective way possible. I am being very polite to you. So I need you to tone down the bullshit like 12 degrees and just say what the fuck you're trying to say. You told me that if I have a room which light doesn't bounce off of, so that would be dark matter. Dark matter doesn't interact with light, but it does have a physical presence. So I've got a room that has physical presence.
I didn't say anything about dark matter. You lost it again, my guy. Yeah, just lost
I'm just repeating what you said, Michael. You said if I have a room where light where light exists in the room, but light doesn't bounce off of anything. The only way that would be possible, as far as I know, is for that room to be made of dark matter. Don't get hung up on the words. Just try to keep up with what I'm saying, because I'm trying to repeat what you're saying back to you in a framework that makes sense.
What's the connection between a room full of only light and dark matter? Where does that come from?
He said it twice. He's literally said it twice.
It's what you said. You said if I have a room, you said that if I have a room,
in a room with only light, there'd be dark matter. Why?
No, I didn't. You said that if there was a room which had light in it, but that light doesn't bounce off of anything, that I would then need to install reflective surfaces in order to make it bounce around. The only physical material that I know of that light doesn't bounce off of or interact with in any way is dark matter. So I'm not saying that to make your case. I'm saying that in a language that I understand. So in a room where light exists without interacting with the room. What?
Right. Take an image of what you just said. A room full of dark matter. You said the only way you can have light that doesn't reflect is a room full of dark matter.
I didn't say it was full of it. I said it was made of it.
Where is dark matter coming from? That's what I'm trying to figure out, is the arrival of dark matter. Where did
listen, Michael, he's explained this to you like 3 or 4 times now. What he's saying is the scenario, the hypothetical you pitched, in order for that scenario to be accurate, your view is that light doesn't reflect off of other things. And he's telling you, no, light reflects off of everything. So the only way for your scenario to be accurate is that the room would have to be made of dark matter. Now, this is the 5th time we've explained it. Do you get it now?
And what's bothering me is it genuinely doesn't actually matter. I'm just trying to get to the end. This was the very first setup of the scenario where you were explaining to me how unconscious consciousness can exist independent of matter. And the first thing you said was, imagine a room with light that doesn't bounce off anything. So I'm just trying to picture what the fuck you're saying so you can get on to making your point. So just follow along with your own train of thought for a second and just take me here. We've got a room where light doesn't bounce off of stuff. For whatever fucking reason, it doesn't. And so I now need to bring in some sort of reflective surface to allow light to bounce off of that so that I can perceive the light in the room bouncing off of the thing, and I can now perceive the room. Where does that take me next to consciousness? What's the next step in this thought experiment?
You just arrived, my guy. You're aware. Hallelujah.
I'm aware of what? That light exists?
This dude.
Yes, that's the point. Now you have light. Now you're aware, but you needed the reflectors first. That's what the processes are for. They're the reflectors, so you can see the light.
This dude.
Where did we get to prophecies? We were talking about consciousness.
Huh?
Where did we get to prophecies?
The prophecies are the reflectors that allow for the consciousness to be. Huh?
I asked you about idealism versus materialism. And I asked you about consciousness, and you said that consciousness can exist outside of matter. Where did prophecies come into this?
The processes is what allows for consciousness to be aware. Well, it's actually awareness. It doesn't become conscious until it's exposed to itself. You're flipping consciousness to awareness. You got them backwards.
You presented these concepts in a totally new way that no one has ever said to me before. So if you're
I offered you something novel, my guy.
You didn't offer me something novel. You offered me something nonsensical. I'm trying like hell to just make what you said make even a fraction of a little bit of sense. I'm just
doesn't
trying to
realize it.
articulate your own ideas back to you, and you have no recourse
Well, I mean,
to
so
be a
you know
condescending
how
prick about it.
So you know how we arrived at the conclusion where we can capture and reveal light with reflectors?
We can
I
capture
don't
and
know why
reveal
it took us
light
so long
without
to get to that
reflectors.
point, but I'm not the one making it complicated.
We can capture and reveal light without reflectors.
But you still have something that can capture and reflect it. The point is that the light's already there.
What? At this point, Michael, it's been...
Michael, you said this was
Darante.
a theory. This was your theory, right? Was that correct, Michael? You said that this is your theory that you're presenting?
Well, it's not like a theory I'm getting ready to like publish in an article. It's an idea that I'm working on.
No. Okay, so that's what I wanted to clarify. So this is just an idea, not a theory.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means you've not tested any of these concepts.
Well, it's a point of view.
Well, no. What I'm asking is, have you tested any of these concepts?
Of course not. No.
Have you qualified yourself to have an opinion on this subject?
Qualified to have an opinion? Wow.
On this subject, yes. The fact that hurts you, the fact that hurts you,
opinion.
Testing your hypothesis would be a good one. Testing your hypothesis would be a good place to start. If you have an idea and you believe that idea is accurate, you try to test that idea. That's how you qualify yourself to have an idea. Or that's how you qualify yourself to have an opinion. You're making claims that you claim you believe, but you don't believe them enough to even try to test them. You just think them, and then you say, this is true because I think it. Then why haven't you tested them, my guy? That means you either believe your ideas and you're just incapable of testing them, which again, if you are currently incapable of testing your idea, qualify yourself to do so.
I mean, I think it's a pretty self-evidential case. I mean, awareness exists.
Yeah, that's
tried,
not how
but it failed miserably.
Yeah, that you weren't able to articulate the tenets of your point.
Awareness is just inherently self-evidential already. It's just how do we arrive at that assertion?
What Darante was just saying, I'm sorry that you weren't able to keep up what Darante was saying, but what he was expressing to you is that you have not just presented an idea that awareness exists. If that was your idea, we would agree with you and move on. You have presented an entire framework of consciousness and reality and idealism and the basic structure of the universe we live in, and you have no fucking idea about anything you're talking about, nor do you have the capacity to articulate it properly, so much so that we spent 17 minutes now of me as a scientist and Darante as a scientist trying to understand even just the basics of what you're talking about, and you have failed to be able to put them into a language that anybody else can understand. So, it's very clear that you have not done the hard work of even thinking about what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I put a lot of thought into it. You're just getting offended and rambling on. You don't even know half the reason why you're pissed. You just came preloaded.
I'm not pissed. I'm not pissed. I'm bored.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It sounds to me, Michael, like you've got one defense mechanism here, which is to try like hell to elicit an emotional response and get somebody on the back foot by telling them they're pissed and they're upset and it's all your fault for you. You can't keep up with this. And then the more that we
call that trolling,
then get upset. The more that we get upset, then it means that we can't actually talk about what you're trying to talk about because you put on this very thin veneer.
My guy.
And even just now, you're interrupting.
I'm trying to de-escalate.
Even just now, you're interrupting me for no reason. It's this thin veneer that we see all the time with people who have big opinions that they have not qualified themselves to even fucking think about, who want to spread their big ideas about shit they don't know anything about. And then whenever anybody who actually takes this shit seriously just tries to make it make sense and is maybe passionate and excited about learning, you have no confidence and no way to dismantle that or go against that, rather than to try to put that person on the back foot and say that, yo, you're just emotional, you're just upset, you're so angry, you don't even know why you're pissed. I'm not pissed. I'm bored. I like learning, and you failed to teach me anything.
Oh, man.
Well, I'm sorry that you're so bored. You're obviously not pissed. I mean, realistically, I was trying to de-escalate the situation. Maybe I didn't do a very good job. I thought
By
You haven't did a good job of doing
novel.
anything that you've tried to do today. You have failed at everything you've tried today.
First of all, the situation wasn't escalated in the first place. Second of all, you want to de-escalate a situation by being a condescending asshole and telling people, listen, I'm sorry, you just can't keep up with my burgeoning intellect here. Literally, I was giving you an example of it when you interrupted me.
When did I call you an asshole? When did I use the F word? When did I raise my voice and get all excited?
You literally interrupted me giving you an example of it. See, this is the thing, man. If you're gonna troll,
I interrupted.
If you're gonna troll, you need to be better at it. This is the thing with Poe's law. This is the thing with Poe's law. Is it's hard to tell if somebody is trolling or if they're just genuinely fucking just like not making any sense and they actually believe the ridiculous things they're saying. This is a great example of that. I would say that if you are just trolling, you need to do a better job, because so far what you've done is you've made yourself look like just somebody who took too big of a bong hit and called the call-in show to say some things. And then you misinterpreted my passion for anger. And then when I called you out on that, you couldn't even let me finish a sentence long enough to tell you how you were being a condescending prick. And now you're in this position where you just look foolish. If you wanted to actually get us excited and get us mad, there were good ways to do that. But you failed. So either you believe dumb things and you called in and said dumb things, or you're just a really, really ineffective troll.
Yeah.
No, I might be miscommunicating because you're misrepresenting me. Maybe it's my fault, but no, I don't remember raising my voice.
Here's the thing. I don't believe you, Michael, because in 20 minutes, for the past 20 minutes, I have repeated back to you what you've said and then built upon it and offered you ways to make it more clear. And you've just repeatedly said, no, it's not like that. You're too stupid to understand what I'm saying. You can't keep up with me. I'm sorry. You don't understand. You just don't have the IQ to get what I'm trying to talk about. If it was really a miscommunication, all of those were your opportunities. All of those were your opportunities to correct that miscommunication, but you couldn't do it because you either don't believe the dumb shit you're saying or you are a very poor communicator.
No, I believe what I'm saying.
You believe what?
I believe what I'm saying.
Then you're a poor communicator. So practice that, learn how to speak, and learn how to articulate your language, and do what Darante said, qualify yourself in this area. Go actually do some base research, learn what real scientists are saying about this stuff and what philosophers even are saying about this stuff before you just come in here with a nose full of your own farts telling us what you think about what might be behind the universe in a way that you can't even fucking comprehend yourself well enough to say it. That sucks, and it's a waste of everybody's time. With that, Michael, I simply cannot be bothered to continue because that's what thinking is all about. That's what people do when they give a shit about whether or not what they believe is true, and what they want to get on a platform in terms of tens of thousands of people and try to make an argument for something they think exists. It is the base bare minimum of respect, dignity, intellectual honesty, and just common fucking sense to actually try to think about the dumb shit you're saying before you say it. I encourage you to try it sometime, Michael. With that, we're going to move on to somebody who actually gives a fuck and is serious. Goodbye.
Holla.
What a boring waste of time.
That hurt my heart, man. I think I'm having palpitations.
It sucked. It sucked. It sucked so bad.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Snow, Pokemon Master and Executive Producer on The Line. Would you like to support a specific show on The Line or The Line in general? There are special tiers on our Patreon and in our channel memberships. You can do just that. By the way, you could consider leaving a super thanks down below. You could also like, subscribe, and leave a regular comment. All of these are great. Now, I'm going to get back to crushing loneliness, but while I do that, why don't you check out one of these?